Okay, so for example, they talk about an amortization schedule. Um, Anytime you finance something like a house or a car, the lending institution um, will probably print you one of these out. You can also go to like a website like Credit Karma. They have amortization schedules that you can type in the information and it'll print you one out. I do think it's of a good value to build one by hand. I am highly likely to put one of these questions on your test. And if I haven't already said it, I have decided that your first test will be on pencil and paper, not on the computer. So, expect to know how to do this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to and if I do ask you to fill one of these out on the test, I will provide you the blank schedule, and then you'll just have to go in and put the numbers in. So you won't have to worry about remembering what these columns are titled and such. So I use the payment formula. I have $1,000 to be amortized at 1.25% interest, and that says per month. So again, we didn't have to calculate the I, they gave it to us. It's per month, and we're going to do it for 6 months. So we're going to have a payment of 174. My payment of $174.03 is going to be the same all the way down. So you could go ahead and fill this in all the way down, with the exception of the last month. And this last month usually has some round off adjustments. So sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a few cents more, but this last payment right here is often different. So I'm going to leave that one blank. There is a line underneath this for totals because once we're finished, our totals should all kind of add up too. So you're going to have to calculate interest 6 times. So that's why I put I1, because it's the amount of interest for the first payment. You always start off paying more interest than you do on the principal or the amount that you borrowed, because the higher your balance is, the more interest you're paying. So at that very first payment, your balance was $1,000. So that's the amount of interest you're going to pay. So you're going to have to pay $12.50 interest. And then that is deducted from your payment. So that's what I mean. You're not going to get to subtract 174.03 from your $1,000, because not all of that is going to come off your balance. You got to take that $12.50 away from that. So you're going to do 174.03 minus 12.50, and that means that you're only going to pay actually pay 161.53 toward your $1,000 balance, and then you subtract that from that, and you have a unpaid balance at the end of $838.47. Okay, so now you have to go back and you have to find interest payment number two. Interest payment number two is that $838.47, your unpaid balance, times the 1.25%. And so you multiply that out, and your interest comes out to be this time $10.48. Okay, so your interest is $10.48. You take that $10.48 away from your payment, and that means your balance only gets deducted by $163.55. So now you take that away from the 830. You take the 163.55 away from the 838.47, and you're left with 674.92. And you continue to do that. 674.92. You continue to do that time after time. Let's see, I'm going to go down here. My third interest payment is going to be 674.92 times the 0.0125, and that came out to be $8.44. And subtract that from the payment, and you get to this time, subtract 165.59 from your leftover balance, and it comes out to be 509.33. Okay, so again, it's just a repetitious thing. That's why for mortgages are usually 30 years. A 30-year mortgage, 30 times 12, that comes out to be, what was that? I figured that out a while ago. 30 years times 12, that's 360 payments. So you would have to do this 360 times if you wanted to do it by hand. That's why it's always better to use a spreadsheet or an amortization calculator or some of the financial tools that are available. You can do this on the calculator, and I will show you how in a minute. It may be a little bit faster, but it would require you to do some memorization stuff too. So that's $6.37. And I'm going to pause this and fill in the rest of the table. Okay, so I did the remaining interest calculations and got them all calculated right here. At the end of the 5th month, I owe $171.91. Remember, I didn't put that total right there because I want to pay, my payment needs to be $171.91 because I want it to be zero. I know that I have, because of this interest calculation right here, I know that I have to pay $2.50 in interest. So if you add these two payments together, the unpaid balance plus the interest, then this last payment will really need to be $174.06. And the difference, the book explains that this number is often different because of round off errors. Because when we did this calculation up here, it did not come out to be $174.03 evenly. There were more decimals off of that. That was a rounded value. And anytime you round off, even though these are pennies, decimals of pennies, they eventually add up, and that's where we make them up right there. So all of these decimals that we rounded off in the first 5 payments, we caught up with them right there in that last payment. Calculator, how do you do it? So the only thing you could still use the calculator to come up with this payment. You would just need, there's 6 at 1.25 each one. Press enter on the payment. It comes out to be exactly like we said, $174.03. Here's that round off error that catches up with you. So you could still do that calculation on the Finance Solver. And again, if you did this, if you use the Finance Solver instead of the formula, I would expect you to type in these values that you used. There is another tool. If you go to menu and you go down to finance, you'll see the word amortization right here. It will do an amortization table. This is the part that you have to memorize because what you have to put in basically right here is the same stuff that we have to put in on that Finance Solver, and it has to go in a certain order, and if you don't know the order, then you can't do it. So I'll write it right up here. So for the how do they do it? AMOTTBL for the amortization table. You're gonna inside that parentheses, you're gonna put the number of payments. And I don't even remember what that was. And then you're gonna put in, and then you're gonna put I, and present value. Then you're going to put your number, your payment amount, and your future value, and then your pay per year value, and your compound per year value. And any value that you leave off, like if you don't need the information, you leave that off. Do not erase the comma. So there will need to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 commas in this problem, or it will not work. So be sure you do that. I'm going to scroll back up here real quick and because I don't remember what that first number was. Let me see if I can find it on my calculator real quick.